Yeah, this question is really for me, but I'm going to ask it in the third person. It was true though. My sister's husband was diagnosed recently with terminal illness. It's kind of a different form of ALS. So slowly he's going to deteriorate. So I've been trying to share some of your teachings and what we're doing here, staying present with her. And she goes, "Well, that doesn't help. The present's no good either." And so it's really sort of a two-part question. It's A, how do you stay present with what we kind of, everyone in this room would have a different example of other things outside that aren't going well. So as soon as I out of the present, I'm right back to what the problem was, kind of thing.
Well,
Or I think you follow the question.
I,
Yeah.
I think I think even if you're sad, even if something sad is happening, and you're present, there's peace with your sadness. You know? I'm not saying that you're going to be happy in a moment that a loved one is diagnosed with a terminal illness, but you can have peace with it. It's the way here. That's one of the first things that Buddha said when he came out from under the Bodhi tree was, look, you're going to get old, you're going to get sick, you're going to die. Don't worry about it. All component things deteriorate. So that's just the nature of this of experience. So in other words, if I gave you an ice cube, right? And and I said, this is your ice cube now, and you have it, you get to keep it, right? And you put the ice cube in your hand, and the ice cube starts melting away. Are you upset? No, right? Why? Because you knew it was going to melt. Because it's the nature of ice cubes to melt. Well, I'm an ice cube. You're an ice cube. Everyone you know and love are ice cubes. Everything you think you own is ice cubes. And it's all melting. And good for that. So what? I had a friend of mine say to me one time, just because the party's over at 2 o'clock in the morning doesn't mean you don't have fun at the party. You're at the party. Might be 1:30, but and the thing is that, like, even being present to your sadness, there's such I so relish that, because it's such an expression of my humanity, you know that I even relish those experiences. In other words, boundless equanimity, all things being equal, right? One state is not preferred over the other. That kind of weighing is gone. We don't resist what's so. We don't resist how life is. We don't judge it. We're completely removing our ego from all of it. The language of the ego is duality. This is a good experience, I want more of this. This is a bad experience, I want less of this. The self says this is just experience. And how do you even really know what's a good experience and a bad experience? Yeah, but haven't you ever had an experience that you really didn't want to have, but it turned out to be really good for you? Could be like, the obvious one, right? You break up with somebody and you're broke and oh my God, why did we break up? It's been terrible, right? And then, like, a year later, you're like, oh my God, thank God that happened. You know what I mean? When it was the last thing that you wanted in that moment. You know what I mean? It's the adversity and the suffering that shapes us, unfortunately. I guess you could say unfortunately, but that's just the way that it works. It's our mistakes that teach us. It's our adversity that makes us wise. The Dalai Lama says, right? It's like a guitar string. Too much tension, no music. Too little tension, no music. Too much suffering, no good. Too little suffering, no good. It moves you. It moves you in a profound way that you wouldn't ordinarily be moved. We wouldn't be having satsang. There wouldn't be peaceful mind center if there wasn't suffering. My suffering, your suffering, and suffering is just discomfort. But, I kind of see my suffering as a compass. You know what I mean by that? My suffering points me in the right direction. If I'm going in this direction and it's getting more and more painful, what is it telling me? Go the other way. Don't go that way, When you're on the path, I kind of picture it, we talk about the spiritual path as a path sometimes, right? And so the path, I picture as like this silky and like red carpet that I'm on, right? And when I start to get a little off the path, it gets a little sandy, then a little rocky, then it gets like bigger rocks, and then there's like thorn bushes over here, and like the further I get off the path, just the more painful it gets. It's pointing me. When you come into presence, all that stuff goes away. All that mind-made stuff goes away. But you have to realize that being present is not thinking about being present. Okay, I'm present now. Am I not present now? I feel like I'm present. I think I'm present. No. It's impossible for me to really describe, but you've experienced it. I don't have to. I'm sure everyone in this room has had moments in life where they came into pure presence. Is that true? Anybody not? So what did it feel like? Mhm. Compassion, love, joy, calmness, peaceful, connection. Wonderful, perfect. That is your true nature. That is the self. That, like the sun behind the clouds, gets obstructed by the mind, the conceptual mind, the ideas, the thoughts, the past, the future, obstructs that true self that we all have experienced. It's what we are. When the mind subsides and you come present into the moment, it's like the clouds parting and nature just shines through effortlessly. And in that moment, do you need life to be a certain way? Do you need anybody to be behaving a certain way? You don't need anything. You don't, like, it's just, it's such incredible peace with life just the way that it is.